Dun, 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 dun. Welcome, my friends, to the Bad Wolf Hour. I will be reading from the Black Laws Dictionary, the one that the lawyers and judges use. That the one that most other officials and enforcement officers have never seen, heard about, or used. Hmm. I'm often asked sometimes, how do I know these things about what they can and can't do? Well, here's one of the things. Here's one of the things. And here are three more of the things: Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. The superior law in the United States of America in the geographical and continental sense, not the corporate sense. Those are two different things legally, foreign to each other, but I digress. Let's keep going. So today we'll be reading from this is your first time here. Thank you for coming. That's what she said. Um, be sure to hit that bell, like, subscribe. Check me out on blacksite32.com for all the goodies, the discounts, and all the government services, from getting your teeth done to paying for your rent. Everything that I can find, when I find them, I put it on blacksite32. While you're there, don't forget to take part in the discount by signing up for the newsletter. All right, especially if it's your first time. That being said, we're going to be talking about constitutional rights. Now, once again, a lot of people don't understand. Cops don't understand. Most judges do. Some lawyers kind of, but they have to hide it because there's a game being played on you good people. And we're here to fight the fiction. All right. Is the Constitution the absolute supreme law in the United States of America? Okay. I'm gonna get it, see here if I can get it to read. Translate. I don't need to translate it. I just wanted to read. Okay, fine. I'll do it the old school way. I'll read it myself. Yes, the Constitution is the supreme law of the United States, but there are limits to its power. Article 4 of the Constitution establishes the Constitution as the supreme law of the land, which is why they operate and made an abridgment over the Constitution for the maritime, which means water jurisdiction. So there's two different things going on here. This means that any act of Congress that goes against the Constitution is not valid. So that means anything underneath Congress and we the people, which is above the Constitution, that differs or tries to negate your rights and freedoms under those three documents is null and void, meaning the private. Constitutional rights are not absolute and have limits. For example, a person cannot claim that their right of freedom of speech protects them from a lawsuit if they publish lies. Okay. Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's decision on constitutional issues are almost final. So what they're saying here is, but here, let me finish. But they can be changed by a constitutional amendment or a new ruling from the court. However, new legislative action can be taken when the interprets a statute. And then they go on to public accountability, and the Constitution was written in 1787, ratified in 1788, put into effect. It is the oldest and longest standing written and codified, meaning they took what was natural and put it into coded form, national constitution in the world. Okay. So now we know that even though a cop could say, you can't do that, guess what? He absolutely can say that if you're a U.S. citizen, you're operating as a U.S. citizen in that moment by your identification, which means to be the same as the company that it represents. So you as a natural person, when you have an ID from them, you're basically saying, I am the DMV. I am the legal man. I am the U.S. citizen legal person. Okay. So an officer can say that. However, if you're operating privately, whether he knows it or not, and I do believe they hate when I say this because I've said it to them many times and still won every time, there is no excuse for the law. Cops are operating on statute of law, edicts, and whatever else for the state of, which is a corporation. No corporation can own a living person. So what do? They create the legal person through the birth certificate. You then become an employee by your own acknowledgement of saying, I am a resident, a resident from the Constitution to their jurisdiction. On the state level, this is represented by the all capitalized name, which is in Black Law's dictionary under capitis dimutio maxima, a full loss of rights when you accept the all capitalized name. In the Roman days, it was used as a death name and a slave name to indicate that you were property. Ooh, wait a minute. Don't they still have all capitalized names on tombstone and on ships and for business? But remember, the government itself does not operate underneath such legal persons as far as when depicting and communicating with you. At least that's what's in their style manual, but they are tied at the waist with the United States Corporation. And remember, the United States of America is represented or presented, presented by the flag without the fringes on a flagpole connected directly to the geographical United States of America, the real ground, not the de facto paper corporation that we know so well. So with that being said, let's get into what Black Law's fifth edition says on constitutional rights. There is a classification of rights with respect to the constitution of civil society. Thus, according to Blackstone, I don't know who he is, might be a book, I don't know that one. I have to look into it. The rights of persons. Now, back in the old day, persons really just and only meant a living person. Now it can be an association, it could be a group, it could be a corporation, a trust. Okay. So absolute, okay, considered in their natural capacities. Okay. So there are two of sorts, absolute and relative. Absolute, which are such as appertain and belong to particular men, merely as individuals or single persons. This is how they refer to the living person, human being, natural, sometimes not even human being. In the old Black laws, human being actually meant a monster, like an automaton, to be controlled. However, here it says, okay, so going on, it says, next, relative, which are incident to them as members of society. So you're a member of the public. They govern over and administer the public. It's why you won't read anything that says they administer over the private, because they cannot. Unless you elect to do something stupid, and then you've brought in yourself from the private side to the public, such as a crime or denying some of their rights or doing damage to property on the criminal level. And standing in various relations to each other. So, in other words, they stand next to each other, but they are in fact different. That's why there's a term called with the US or without the US. Okay. With the US means the corporation, without the US means the de jure American and land and private and free. Rights are also classified in constitutional law as natural, civil, and political. So once again, these are all different jurisdictions. Natural would be private, okay? But we'll get to that. So natural, civil, and political. That's why I tell people I am not a part of the political system. That's what they're doing. They're bringing all of us into the political. Political, you might as well just say corporation. All right. To which there is sometimes added to the class of personal rights. So there's more personal law, natural law, civil law, political law. Which one are you guys operating under? Natural rights are those which grow out of the nature of man and dependent upon personality. You know, things like common law, like it makes sense. Don't hit me, I won't hit you back. Natural stuff. Distinguished from such as are created by law and dependent upon civilized society. So natural things, and then there's what we codify. Or they are those which are plainly assured by natural law. Of those which by fair deduction from the present physical, moral, social, and religious characteristics of man, he must be invested with, and which he ought to have realized for him in a jural society, in order to fulfill the ends to which his nature calls him. Such are the rights of life, liberty, privacy, and good reputation. Civil rights. Civil rights are such as belong to every citizen of a state. Now, here we have to break this down. The word citize, city is a non-living entity, okay? And zen is to conform. So you're conforming or you're being the opposite of a savage. The savage does not mean, oh, I'm just going to run around, you know, doing all kind of crazy stuff. Savages means that you guys don't do anything formal. Oh, they're savages. They're attacking us while we take over their land. So I'm happy to call myself a savage. I'm a savage and I'm a Native American. Test me if you will. So here's the thing. So Sitai Zen itself is the act of conforming savages or others to be sitized, satized, okay, of the state, any state, or country, any country, or in a wider sense, to all of its inhabitants, and are not connected with the organization or administration of government. They include the right of property, marriage, equal protection of laws, freedom of contract, trial, and jury, whereas otherwise defined as civil rights. Okay, so didn't they just talk about natural rights? So now we're talking about civil. So that civil are what man has made. Natural are those that we should have just because we're living beings. Or otherwise defined as civil rights and rights appertaining to person by virtue of his citizenship. Sitai means property of the non-living thing. Zen, so you've been zened. You've been Maui Wowied. You drank some of that P. Diddy Kool-Aid. Finish him. And ship, because they deal in maritime. So you have been made into a civilized person versus a savage. You've left your natural rights, gone over to the city. You've been translated, conformed, and you're on a ship. Your body can be a ship. The paper document you use is a shipment. You're looked at as cargo. So you're on a ship as a member of theirs. Okay. In a state or community. So they've created a system of ships floating on the water or within 1 mile of a waterway. And they've created their own jurisdiction right amongst and underneath the land jurisdiction, which is terra firma, which is where you have your natural rights. That's why they call you a resident. You switched over to having civil rights. Your ultimate rights are natural and private and religious. Such terms may also refer in its very general sense to rights capable of being enforced or redressed in a civil action. Also, a term applied to certain rights secured to citizens of the United States by the 13th and 14th Amendment of the Constitution and the various acts of Congress, civil rights acts, and made in pursuant thereof, see Bill of Rights, civil liberties, and civil rights acts. Political rights consist in the power to participate directly and indirectly. Indirectly is the MF right there. In the establishment or administration of government. So once again, they created a new jurisdiction and they call this one political. Such as the right of citizenship. So yeah, you have a right to be a federalized citizen of our state. More formal, politically based. I mean, you did vote, right, for the president, right? And all those other things. Well, you've told them that you're a recipient of theirs. So now you've just combined that you are, in fact, a political citizen. But then sometimes when they overstep your civil rights or your natural rights, you can utilize those. But they've pushed us all so far into the political system or the political hemisphere that out of suffrage, the right to hold public office, see, there it is, and the right to petition. Next, they have personal rights. Personal rights is a term, or rather vague import, meaning brought it in, but it's vague. Let's not go all into that. That's a little too much like private rights. You notice they didn't say that anywhere in here. But generally, it may be said to mean the right of personal security, comprising those of life, limb, body, health, reputation, and the right of personal liberty. So these are all jurisdictions. If you don't tell them which one you're operating in, or you're always showing them your driver's license, I'm a U.S. citizen, well, then guess what? They're going to say, well, did you vote? Did you do these things? Well, then you're in our jurisdiction, unless you challenge it the proper way, and you use them as you see fit. Now, as we go on, there's other things in here like right to first refusal, right to local self-government. Let's see what that one says. Right of local self-government, power of citizens to govern themselves, meaning you can create your own jurisdiction as long as you're not hurting anybody or doing anything criminal. As to matters purely local in nature, you have the right to natural rights. Through officers of their own selection, you can be an officer of your own micronation. What they call your last name is actually your nation, your tribe, your house, your clan. You have a right to local self-govern, to govern yourself. The Freemasons call it governing yourself accordingly, meaning go as you go. Just don't hurt me or mess with mine. So right to self, local government. Okay. And they've got right of possession, right of privacy, but then it goes see privacy and then right of. So then they really don't like to talk about the privacy because they don't have jurisdiction. This book, so they get the people like judges and lawyers and attorneys and everybody familiar with how they see things. This book is different with its words and definitions. Some of the words are the same words, but they have different definitions compared to American dictionaries. Okay, Webster's, Merriam. These are two separate but dictionaries for different jurisdictions. Somebody told me when they heard about Black's law, they thought it was laws for just Black people. This is so bad, but I'm going to do it anyway. Thou shalt eat chicken and watermelon. I'm just teasing. No, it's just called that. Now, why we don't know. Was there somebody originally called somebody Black and they started this? Could be. Could it have been created originally for Black people? Could be. If we look here, it says Henry Campbell Black, Black Laws Dictionary. So it might have came from Henry Campbell, black. Okay, might be from him. Or it might be because everything that they do is based on black writing. This is their jurisdiction. They say, we're going to claim black. We don't care if anybody else is using it. We're claiming black. Please use black ink. Officer, wear black instead of blue because you're no longer a blue peacekeeper under the canopy of heaven, but you're a legal or law enforcement officer. So you enforce legal policy of the corporate state. Oh, hey, judge, wear black. See, black is not bad. Black actually is the universe when it was in its chaotic form before the entity known as God, if you will, believe whatever you want, wrote upon it with colored things like stars and novas and whatever planets and whatever else. Black also represents the ether. From the ether, everything was created. Your thoughts are in a black space before you manifest them into the lit world. All right, but believe in move how you want to move. Right of property. Okay, right of redemption, right of survivorship, right of way. So this is there. So I didn't see this one before. It says right patent, like almost like could it be in relation to patent law and the land patent? Let's see what it says. In Old English writ, which was brought for lands and tenements, probably where they get the word tenant from, and not for an adveson or common and lay, only for an estate. In fee simple and not for him who had lesser estate. As tenant in tail, tenant in frank marriage, or tenant for life, meaning those things show ownership. You're being owned. So a right to the patent is a right to the land patent, to own the land straight out, which is why they always get us on what? A fee simple, and they put you on the mortgage as a tenant. From now on, anybody buying a house, tell them, no, we need to correct the paperwork. I'm not the tenant, I'm the owner. Gem drop, people. Huge gem drop. Rewrite the document. It needs to say, I'm the owner, not the tenant with owner-like capabilities, but the owner. Okay. So now, because they made mention of this, let's see what it says by privacy. I think I'm done with this section. What are you guys doing? How are you guys doing out there with your mental health and your life and your finances? Remember, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just have to be smart enough to know that you don't like something and then go find a professional who can guide you through. Stop trying to sit there and suffer and be like, I'll figure it out. No, now I'm going to call you dumb. Get smart enough to know that you don't like something or this ain't right. Oh, and for the love of God. So I talk about more about this on my YouTube channel, and I will talk about more about this on my other YouTube channel or TikTok channel. TikTok, I talk openly. No punches being held. And I'm going to do that on my other YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to that one, join the Badwolf Media channel. I'm going to be dropping out, man. We're going in. We're going in. This channel, I'll keep a little prim and proper. I'm going to be talking. So join that one. That's also my backup channel. Ladies, stop. And I know some dudes might be triggered about this. So sorry, but get your game up. Ladies, stop giving booty to dudes living at their mama's house, in their mama's basement, couch surfing. The guys that applies to. I'm not saying you're at the end. Get your game up. I'm just saying, if you're going to be in a position, you want to call yourself a man, an actual man, not a full-sized boy or a full-sized girl for people it applies to. People ask me, what does that really mean? It doesn't mean heavy set full size. It means you're the adult size, but you're boy or girl minded. Okay, so get your life right, get your act together. Come on, come up. No more of this bottom feeder stuff, man. Come on, do your best. Doesn't mean you have to stay there. I'm not knocking you for where you are. Exactly. But to some degree, as a grown man, yeah, get your game up. All right. Girls, stop and letting these guys get you pregnant. It's partly your responsibility too. Have more respect for yourself. Wear some dang condoms, or say no, or be demure or abstinent until you find somebody worth your time. Got to get into all these scenarios, and then, oh, it's his fault. You took your part in it too. Blame yourself first. If the female is the bank and you're letting these dudes rob you and make a deposit, whose fault is it? The robber or the bank? Thank you. Let's keep going. All right. And don't worry, everybody's made their mistakes. I've made all these mistakes too. I'm just saying, let's try to do better. Let's learn from our mistakes and be better every day. I'm the person who will say it. I'm not here trying to be your friend and not hurt your feelings. I don't really care about that. All right, almost there. See. Oh, you should hear me on TikTok. Some of y'all might not like me on TikTok. I'll be going in. But I also drop a lot of this knowledge on there as well. Here we go. Privacy. Right of. See, they hide these things, man. So before we get there, okay, so I just seen the word prisoner. One who is deprived of his liberty, which that can only be done by the federal court, judicially. One who is against his will kept in confinement. So against your will. Isn't there something about that? Can't make me do something against my will. Or custody in a prison, penitentiary, or jail as a result of a conviction of a crime, meaning you have to do something criminal, be locked up. Might have something else for you too here. No, you know what? I'm going to make this the next part for the private VIP section, which if you guys want to join that, go to my YouTube channel, main page, which as always, guys, I had one client today say, I've never seen that video. And I've watched almost all your videos that pop up. I said, because YouTube only shows you some videos, definitely not all my videos. And if you haven't hit that bell like subscribe to be notified, and even if you have been notified, they still may not notify all of you. They do not notify all 70 some thousand or 80,000 of my people at the same time. They do not send a message out to all of them. So from time to time, go to my YouTube page. Make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube will unsubscribe you if you guys do not. Go there and or watch my videos consistently. But when you go there, you can click on the playlist row and either click on playlist to see all of my lists. If you go farther to the right, there's a magnifying glass where you can then search for your topic. Like one lady today, she's like, well, I didn't see you make a video on the 14th Amendment rejection letter from the Department of State. So I showed her, went to my site, dropped down. She's like, I've never seen some of these videos. I was like, yeah, you have to go there, use that main site, go directly there to see the videos, all the videos, the past videos. Don't worry just because some of them are older and newer, they're all still relevant. Otherwise, I'd pull them down. Slide all the way to the right, see a magnifying glass, use that to then search for your terms. And this first video that popped up. Okay. But also on there's a join button. If you join and support me for $1.99, $3.99, $5.99, $24.99, whatever you want, then you can get the behind the scenes videos where what I'm going to after this part will be in those videos. Okay. All right. So, but for now, for this video, okay, they're talking about the Privacy Act itself. But privacy and the right to be let alone. Leave me the hell alone. So that's a right, just to be left alone by everybody. You have a right here, Black Laws Dictionary, privacy, comma, right of. Hmm. Um, the right of a person to be free from unwarranted publicity, meaning you'd have the right to not be in the public. You have that as a right. I've actually never read this one before, so I'm reading this right along with you guys here. Term, right of privacy, is a generic term encompassing various rights or reorganized to be inherent in the concept of ordered liberty. And such right prevents governmental interference in intimate personal relationships or activities, comma, freedoms of individuals to make fundamental choice involving themselves and their family and their relationships with others. The right of an individual, but then they put in parentheses, or corporations, so corporations can be private, or corporations are on the public side, generally. But you can have a corporation that was created from the public system, but it in itself is then private. Damn, Wolf, what? Exactly. Now you're understanding how complicated this can be. To withhold himself and his property from public scrutiny, but also just like my micronation, it is private. They can't tell me I can't do this, that, or the other. I'm private. I have a right to it. This backs it up right here. You can be private in a way, and your property from public scrutiny. Public scrutiny means under their control, under them. Well, that's not up to code or regulation. You have a right here. Even in Black Law's Dictionary, their own book says we have to acknowledge that. This is the remedy. They may not like it, but it's right here. It is said to exist only as far as its assertion and is consistent with law or public policy. Meaning you can't say, well, I've got the privacy and the right to have I like to call it a fun dungeon, where I can just keep a whole bunch of broads and bitches, he bitches and she bitches. I don't have a fungeon, but if I did, anyway, you can't have that as a right. Okay. Now, could you do that if everybody there was willing? Yes. You created a PMA, Private Members Association. You have that as a right in the policy. But when somebody wants to quit or leave, you have to give them that right. And I'm not condoning any of that. I'm just saying as an example. All right. All right. So educational information only from your favorite non-belligerent, non-combatant treaty of the United States and Lord of Levitica. Let's get going. Or public policy. And in proper case, equity, they don't like to talk about equity because equity is in the private, will interfere if there is no remedy at law. Okay, that was kind of a goodie. I wasn't really trying to let that one out there. To prevent an injury threatened by the invasion of or infringement upon this right from motives of curious gain or malice. Federal Trade Commission versus American Tobacco, 264, and a couple other ones. Tort action for invasion of privacy, meaning going after them for money, falls into four general classifications: appropriation. Okay, I'm not going to read all that. That's forever. Just public disclosure of private facts and rights. That's why in my house I have the sign you can see right there. I've got three of them. If my house is in fact private, I have to notify them. Otherwise, they have what's known as implied license. Implied license means if you don't make a declaration to the public that your house or you or your vehicle is private, they can assume by implied license that it is public. This sign has revocation of implied license, which I believe is on Black Site 32 on the free documents. I think it says property sign or something like that. Private, affecting or belonging to private individuals. So officers, lawyers, judges, for the love of Christ, when you guys are home, if I come knocking on your door at 2 o'clock in the morning, you walk down with your firearm and you're in your underwear, you're like, who is this? Why are you ringing my? Oh yeah, hey, Mr. Officer, I looked you up and found out where you live. There's a robbery going on the street. I need you to go do something about that. What is the first thing going to come out of your monkey flipping mouth? Go ahead. I'll wait. Oh yeah, that's right. Hey, this is my private residence. I'm in private capacity. I'm not an officer in the public. Yeah. To the wonderful officers out there who do a great job of taking care of me, who've even given me some inside information, or we'll just say insight. Thank you for that. And thank you for being actual real patriots, despite your very public trustee job as a corporate enforcer of statutes and codes, which are subservient to the Constitution for the United States of America. Thank you for that. And to the other ones who are, well, not. Mm, mm, and to those who are bad cops, mm, mm, mm. Well, TikTok, TikTok, Mr. Wick. The more fraud and dirty things you guys do, the clock is ticking against you for a lawsuit. But I digress. So, affecting or belonging to private individuals as distinct, different from public generally. So those are distinctly different, meaning not official, not clothed in office. You guys have no idea how powerful this information I just told you and how to use it. That's why this is going to be in my seminar. It's going to be very fire. Trust me. As to private, act, agent, bill, boundary, business, carrier, chapel, corporation, detective, dwelling, easement, examination, ferry, nuisance, pond, property, prosecutor, rights, road, sale, school, seal, statute, stream, trust, water, war, way, wharf, and wrongs. See other titles. So they had to throw in those other titles of some of those were public, some of those were private. See that? But all of those could be public and all those could be private on the public or private side. Private bank, an unincorporated banking institution owned by an individual or partner and depending upon state statutes, subject to or free from state regulations. Private bank, private banker, creditor. All right. I was, well, actually, this one was already in the private, so we're going to put this on the public side now. And we'll give you a bonus. But the other stuff is going to go into the VIP. So join that if you can. Remember, even though it's only $1.09, I only get like 50 cents out of that. But it does help me to focus on this. And if you don't want to do that, which gives you the VIP, you just want to make a donation, go to blacksite32.com, click on the charity or donation page, and then you can pay monthly or one-time fee. So thank you to all those people out there who have supported me. Also, another person who has supported me is a YouTube website that goes under Fun and Favored Travels. Okay. So if you want, go and check out Fun and Favored Travels, and you can support them over there. Otherwise, you can also support my cousin under the Gold Dragon on YouTube, and he teaches teaching and studying. Not well, it's actually a lineage of Yip Man, but it is the by Bruce Lee. Okay, well, let me say it correctly. It's okay. So it is martial arts, and it is the what is it? Proper name, not kung fu, Wing Chun. Okay, but it is what Bruce Lee also learned as well. Okay, one of the styles that he learned. So you can check out those two people if you like. They're awesome people. All right. So the next one I'm going to read is, and I might have three more. Okay. Privateer. What is a privateer? A privateer, a vessel owned. Remember, your body can be a vessel. A vessel owned, equipped, and armed by one or more private individuals and duly commissioned by a belligerent power. Well, Wolf, I thought you said we should be non-belligerent. Right, in doing business. But if you're in the private, you can be your own belligerent power. To go on cruises and make war upon the enemy. Technically, what these people are doing to us from their maritime source, they're privateers. They're considered private to other places. So they're privateering and they're making war too. See how that flip-flops? It's weird. It's so crazy. Upon an enemy, usually by preying on his commerce. So what are they doing? They're preying on our commerce. They are privateers as well, but they are so big that they're called the public. And then that in itself is a whole jurisdiction. Preying on his commerce. A private vessel commissioned by a nation, your last name, if you choose or create one, by the issue of a letter of marque on your own to its owner to carrying on all hostilities by sea, maritime jurisdiction. Presumably according to the laws of war, formerly a state-issued letter of marque to its own subjects. So at one point in time, you had to basically be underneath them to do this. You couldn't just do it your own self. Then they opened it up or kind of said, well, I guess we can't stop all of you. Can't stop you from being private. And to those neutral states, Lovitica, as well, but a privateersman who accepted letters of marque from both belligerents was accepted letters of marque from both belligerents was regarded as a pirate. Hold on, there's a lot of stuff here, man. They always try to make the pirate look like the dirty, disgusting, bad person and everything, right? Hear me out. Hear me out. When dealing with Native Americans, they try to say that they were all dirty, disgusting savages, right? Now, as somebody who's a part of the certain fraternities and government things and whatever else, or have been, I can tell you right now that the original story of the pirates were that a majority of them were actually either Knights Templars or some type of Masonic related, who were, especially when the time of the Friday the 13th, where this comes from, is when they crucified, I believe it was Jacques de Molay, the leader of the Templars, burned him alive to force him to admit to being a worshiper of non-God, to the point where his toes were literally going like this and the bones were coming out of them. And then finally this man said, you know what? He was under so much pain and torture, he just said, sure, fine, whatever. So that's the sign of confession. And then they went after all of the Templars, who then mysteriously, most of them disappeared. And a lot of them turned into pirates. So a pirate is nothing more than somebody who's private and or considered a savage, meaning that we're not a part of your system. Mm. Regarded as a pirate. Why? Because the private person was like, hey, you're taking from us. I'm going to take from you. So it really is, in fact, is true. He who has the gold makes the rules, and he who wins the war writes the history. By the Declaration of Paris, April 1856, privateering was abolished, well, in their country at least. Can't do it worldwide. But the United States, Spain, Morocco, and Venezuela did not accede to this declaration. So, yeah, okay, Venezuela, who is now waging war on us. So, in all honesty, let me tell you why. Because they are knowingly releasing a number of their most dangerous prisoners sending them here not here in all over, to cause war and destruction, knowing that it is a problem to catch and capture these people, and then put them in prison where they're here. It's a walk in the park. And even in my state, one of them, and I hope he rots in HELL, not only ran over one of our nationals, essayed a young girl, and got away with it. I can't even go into my thoughts right now because it would definitely get this video banned on YouTube. And over in Colorado, they took over an apartment complex, to which case Hell's Angels, okay, and I do know some. And so thank you guys for also being private, having your own set of rules, and going there to assist in the matters privately. Also, a shot goes out to the Moorish community. I did a consultation with a high-ranking Moor member just the other day, and he informed me of how many of you guys know me and watch my videos. So, to all the brothers out there, thank you, and sisters. Hey, if you guys haven't subscribed, he literally told me I should have over 100,000 people subscribed just in the Moor Nation alone, and I'm not seeing that. So, if you're really going to support a fellow national brother of color and somebody who's a study of the Moorish ways, laws, and traditions, all the way back to the ancient of days, before it even had the name that it has now, support the channel. So, but thank you to all the members out there. Thank you in general to all the good people, the good souls out there, to whatever club or band that you belong to, as long as you're doing the right things, that is what's respected. Thank you. Let's continue. By the Declaration of Paris, so F you, Paris. Okay. Oh, we're going to say you can't be private. Who cares? You don't own the world. Okay. So we did not accede to that. We did not give in to that declaration. So it has been thought that the constitutional provisions empowering Congress to issue letters of marque derives it of the power to join in the permanent treaty abolishing privateering. See privacy. Okay. Now we'll also cover private law. Private law as used is in contradiction to public law. So it's recognized. The courts recognize private law. Why? Because ultimately what they're doing is private law, but it's so big, it's called public. So to differentiate their private things from other people's stuff, they just say, well, look, we'll take on the name private or public. Okay. Oh, and I'm actually learning something new. This is interesting. Public law is in contradiction to public law is in contradiction to private law. The term means that part of the law which is administered between citizen and citizen, or which is concerned with the definition, regulation, and enforcement of rights in the cases where both the person in whom the right inheres and persons upon whom the obligation is incident are private individuals. See private bill, public law, and special law. I've never seen that one. So the last one is a private person, right? This term often is used to refer to persons other than those holding public office or in military service. Hold up. Which is what I've been saying since day one. Let me read this again. Private person is a term sometimes used, sometimes. So that means there's other things which might be where special law comes in at. Used to refer to persons other than those holding public office or in military service. So now let me ask you guys, you have no idea how powerful this gem drop here is at the end of this video. So hit that bell, like, subscribe. Go ahead, I'll wait. There you go. So then buy their thing. If you're not holding public office or you're in the military, you have a private side, which then means you're not public, right? So you have both. You were born with a private side, you developed a public side. Public side just means you join the membership of being a citizen of their ship, their state on water. When the cops came to my house, they read my sign. The first thing he says, "You're private?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Are you a embassy?" I said, "Well, we are a micronation." I said, "Okay."